Welcome back to All for C Learning. This is session 23. In this session, we are going to discuss comparison of E2 and SN2 and what factors influencing for E2 and SN2. Here, there are 5 points, main points to find out whether a particular reaction gives E2 product or SN2 product. In that, first one, if leaving group containing carbon is less crowded, if leaving group containing carbon is less crowded, then SN2 takes place over E2. Already we discussed, for SN2 reaction, less steric hindrance required because of rear side attacking. Rear side attacking with respect to leaving group, we are saying that it attacks 180 degrees angle, means to minimize the repulsion. So simply for SN2, rear side attacking required. For rear side attacking, obviously crowd must be less. If a crowd is more, then the approaching nucleophile or base, obviously the approaching one prefers to behave like base rather than nucleophile. So if more crowded carbon consists leaving group, in such a case attacking species behaves as base and abstracts proton alpha carbon with respect to leaving group containing carbon simply from beta carbon. So ultimately less crowded carbon if consists leaving group, then we are getting SN2 product over E2 product. Remember, there is no 100% SN2, 100% E2. Here wherever SN2, there E2 product also must. But here which one is major and which one is minor, that we need to consider. Let's come to the second one. With primary alkoxide, if the attacking one is alkoxide and primary, then it prefers SN2 as major. SN2 as major. I used to consider 1-bromopropane upon treatment with sodium ethoxide and ethyl alcohol. There are two possibilities with respect to this bromine containing, means leaving group containing carbon. If you said this one is alpha and this one is beta. Now if OC2H5 minus come and attack upon this beta carbon containing hydrogen, in such a case we are getting elimination product, that is E2 product. Instead of that, this O minus of C2H5O minus come and attack, approach to the leaving group containing carbon only. In such a case, we are getting SN2 product. So sodium ethoxide in ethyl alcohol solvent, preferably substitution and less amount of elimination. 91% substitution product ether and 9% elimination product alkene. This one happens in case of only primary alkoxide. So alkoxide is nothing but it acts as both base and nucleophile, but whenever it is primary, and here alkyl halide also primary, means less crowded alkyl halide and less crowded base, both are less. Here if you observe, both are primary, alkoxide primary and alkyl halide primary. So always we are not supposed to think always with primary alkoxide we are getting SN2 major. That we cannot say. Here along with this sodium alkoxide, alkyl halide also must. Here alkyl halide also, here primary, since both alkoxide primary and alkyl halide primary, both are primary, then SN2 product is major rather than elimination product. Now let's come to third one. Before going to third one, in one more example we can give for second point here, Williamson synthesis. Williamson synthesis, that we will learn here. Williamson synthesis is nothing but preparation of either alkyl halide upon reaction with sodium alkoxide gives ether, that is Williamson synthesis. Alkyl halide upon reaction with sodium alkoxide gives ether, that is Williamson synthesis. If we want to prepare tertiary butyl methyl ether, so which reactants we need to consider? Tertiary butyl methyl ether we can prepare by using two types of reactants. One is tertiary butoxide plus methyl bromide, and one more thing, tertiary butyl bromide and methoxide ion. See, in both cases we are getting the same product, tertiary butyl ether. We can prepare generally by considering tertiary butoxide and methyl bromide and tertiary butyl bromide methoxide. But from both the reactants we are not getting major product as tertiary butyl ether. Major product we are not supposed to get. But in which case we are getting major product? If you observe, in this case methoxide ion, of course it can act as a nucleophile and also good base, fine. And since here bromine containing carbon is sterically hindered, in other words we can say CH3O minus cannot approach to the bromine containing carbon, CH3O minus cannot approach to electrophilic carbon because of steric hindrance. Neighboring groups are electron rich groups. Being electron rich groups, they can oppose that electron rich species. Hence, CH3O minus cannot approach to the electrophilic carbon. That's why here you cannot expect major product as ether. Instead of that, what happened? CH3O minus prefers to abstract beta hydrogen and finally it leads elimination through. So in this way, we cannot prepare tertiary butyl methyl ether as a major product. Instead of that, if we are considering tertiary butoxide and methyl bromide, so tertiary butoxide, methyl bromide, since methyl bromide is primary and tertiary butoxide of course bulky, but there is no beta carbon, here you are getting only one possibility for getting only ether. Here elimination reaction possibility is not there. If you observe there is no beta carbon. So in such a case, better to consider these two are reactant for preparation of tertiary methyl, tertiary butyl ether. So it is very clear, if you want to prepare a particular ether, which reactants we need to consider and which reactants we are not supposed to consider. This point gives clarification. And let's come to third one. Bulky base leads E to elimination in major. So with increase in bulkiness of the attacking base, then E2 product increases. With increase in bulkiness of attacking base, E2 product increases. I used to consider here primary alkyl halide, but here 16 carbon atom containing alkyl group. 16 carbon atom containing alkyl group. That means primary only, but since it consists more number of carbon atoms. And I am using potassium tertiary butoxide in a tertiary butyl alcohol solvent. Tertiary butyl alcohol, always we are going to use solvent which alkoxide preferably are using base. That solvent, that alcohol only we are using as solvent. So here tertiary butoxide base, this bulky base prefers elimination rather than substitution. Bulky base prefers elimination rather than substitution. Here also we use bulky base, na sir. You mentioned that tertiary butoxide, of course, but there is no beta carbon there, hence there is no elimination chance. We are having only one chance, one possibility, that is ether formation. That is nothing but substitution. Now, here in this case, when we are using potassium tertiary butoxide, since it consists alpha, beta, so many carbon atoms are there, and this tertiary butoxide ion can easily approaches that. We are getting alkene as major product, almost 87% of alkene product we are getting. Let us come to basicity of nucleophile. So here nucleophiles which are less basic, here simply always we have to consider comparison of basicity with water. So water in general we are considered as a weak acid and its conjugate is strong base. Compared to that water, if any nucleophile, if compared to OH minus, if any nucleophile is less than nucleophilic, then it always prefers substitution as a major product. I am repeating once again. Compared to OH minus, if any nucleophile is less than nucleophilicity. Compared to OH minus, if any nucleophile has less nucleophilicity, in such a case it prefers substitution rather than elimination. Now, which are less basic than OH minus? Nucleophiles which are less basic than OH minus and obviously they are less nucleophilic than OH minus. In such a case, They reacts with primary and secondary, but not supposed to tertiary. We cannot expect with tertiary. Tertiary, whatever it may happen. But with primary and secondary alkyl halides, preferably gives a substitution product as major product instead of elimination. So OH minus compared to OH minus, which are less basic, how could you know? Let us consider Cn minus. Cn minus is obtained from HCN, and compare the H2O. H2O is neutral, HCN is acid. When we compare these two, HCN we can say strong acid and H2O is weak acid out of these two. So from H2O conjugate what we are getting, that is OH minus. Since weak acid conjugate is strong base, weak acid conjugate is strong base OH minus. Now compare with HCN. HCN is strong acid compared to water. So from strong acid conjugate what we are getting, that is Cn minus. From strong acid conjugate what we are getting, Cn minus. That Cn minus is weak base. So being weak base, weak nucleophile. Being strong base, strong nucleophile. What I mentioned here, compare to OH minus if any species is less basic. Yes, compare to OH minus. Here Cn minus is less basic. Since Cn minus is less basic, hence it prefers substitution rather than elimination. Similar to that, N3 minus, which is obtained from hydrozoic acid, N3H. So this N3H hydrozoic acid also compared with water, strong acid. Hence its conjugate N3 minus is obviously weak base compared to water. Since compared to OH minus, N3 minus is strong weak base, obviously it prefers substitution rather than elimination. So here I hope you got clear, whatever the bases, if they are having less basic nature or less nucleophilic than OH minus, in such a case with such nucleophiles, primary and secondary alkyl halides preferably undergoes substitution as a substitution and resultant we are getting a substitution product as major product. And if you come here, I used to consider secondary alkyl halide 2 degree in terms of KCN and DMSO. So why you are using here DMSO, sir, and why we are not using polar protic solvent, we'll discuss after completion of this example. So KCN, K plus Cn minus, it's ionizing solvent. Preferably whenever we are using Cn minus, since Cn minus just now we discussed that compared to water, it is Cn minus is weak base, but HCN basically weak acid compared to any other acid. So Cn minus is strong conjugate base. So if we are using polar protic solvents, then it may abstract a proton. That's why to avoid such reaction, better to use DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. In case of dimethyl sulfoxide, there is no proton here. Polar aprotic solvent, example for polar aprotic solvents, DMFO, DMSO, DMF, these are all. So polar aprotic solvent which do not consist any proton, in such a case obviously Cn minus acts as only nucleophile. So if any proton availability is there, there is a possibility to abstract that. So to avoid such reaction we are using DMSO. Then Cl will be replaced by Cn by SN2 mechanism because of secondary alkyl halide, and because of we are using DMSO solvent. DMSO solvent we are getting SN2 product rather than elimination product. Next, last point here, tertiary alkyl halide. Okay, primary, always we are discussing with primary and secondary alkyl halides what happened. With primary alkyl halide what happened, with secondary alkyl halide what happened, with primary alkoxide what happened, with tertiary alkoxide what happened, all that factors we discussed. Now, if alkyl halide is tertiary, then which nucleophile you are using? Negatively charged nucleophile or neutral nucleophile? So, negatively charged one what we called anionic part. That anionic part preferably acts as base. Preferably acts as base. Whereas, neutral one, this preferably acts as a nucleophile. Already we discussed, compared to water, H2O, compared to H2O, OH minus is strong base and water is a good nucleophile. I am not saying strong nucleophile, good nucleophile water is, like that. So anionic base and a neutral base. Anionic base always prefers elimination, whereas a neutral base always prefers substitution. So by learning these factors, we can predict which one we need to consider for preparing which product. For example, if I want substitution product, then which type of solvent we have to use, which type of alkyl halide we have to use, and which type of nucleophile we have to use, and for elimination product which type of base we have to use. These are all we are getting clarity based on this one. So comparison of E1 and E2. Earlier we discussed comparison of E2 and SN2. Now comparison of E1 and E2. Here E1 and E2 both are elimination reactions. In previous sessions we already learned that elimination is always endothermic. Means for elimination reactions high temperature required. So at high temperature always elimination, at low temperature preferably substitution. But remember that sometimes in case of carbocation rearrangements and for ring expansions we need to provide heat energy. Don't forget that. So and don't think that because of we are providing heat energy there also elimination product takes place. No, not like that. Whenever rearrangement and ring expansions are there, so obviously they require certain energy. And in the question he will mention that heat only. But he is not going to mention any temperature like hundreds of degrees Celsius. Okay, fine. Simple. Elimination is always endothermic. That means elimination products are always thermodynamic product. Substitution products are always kinetic products. Substitution products are kinetic products. Elimination are thermodynamics. So whether it is E1 or E2 ultimately takes place at high temperature. And for E1 and E2 what are the factors? Means how base, temperature, reactivity, solvent, all these how influences C1 and E2. Let us see. First, base. For E2 elimination base must be strong, and also concentration of base influences rate of reaction. Concentration of base also influences rate of reaction, and a strong base required, because bimolecular elimination, that is its rate is equal to K into concentration of substrate and concentration of base both. So when we are increasing base concentration obviously E2 elimination takes place more. Whereas for E1 rate determining step is formation of carbocation. Their base involvement is not there. That's why whatever the base there is not a major. That means base is a not important factor for E1 elimination. Preferably it should act as nucleophile, and even nucleophile acts as base. Solvent molecule also acts as base after formation of carbocation. And temperature for E2 elimination room temperature, and for E1 elimination little high, because of E1 elimination bond breaking is there. And for E2 elimination room temperature is required. Room temperature 30 to 40 degrees Celsius we need to provide, because it is concerted mechanism. All bond breaking and making takes place at single time. That means in the same step bond formation and bond breaking takes place. During bond formation energy released to us, and for bond breaking we need to provide energy. So in such a case here temperature no need to provide much more. But in case of E1 elimination what happened? First step is bond breaking, formation of carbocation. So for that we need to provide temperature. Of course later in second step, because of bond formation takes place, we will get energy. But that is not rate determining step. Second step is not RDS. First step only rate determining step. That's why first step is endothermic. That's why we need to provide a little high temperature for formation of carbocation. And also after formation of carbocation rearrangement takes place. For that again we need to provide a little bit temperature. That's why compared to E2 for E1 elimination we need to provide little high temperature. And reactivity of alkyl halides. In comparison of SN1 SN2 we are going to say for SN1 tertiary greater than secondary greater than primary, and for SN2 primary greater than secondary greater than tertiary. That means that two are reverse in order, contrary to each other. But in this case not like that. For both E1 and E2 elimination tertiary is greater than secondary is greater than primary, because more sterically hindered alkyl halide preferably gives elimination product, because of attacking base cannot behave as a nucleophile and cannot approach the electrophilic carbon, because of hindrance increases. Further elimination product increases, substitution product decreases. And for E1 obviously because of via formation of carbocation tertiary alkyl halide preferably gives stable carbocation, then secondary and then primary. So for both E2 and E1 alkyl halides order follows same as tertiary greater than, secondary greater than, primary, but not like SN1 and SN2. Now solvent. Polar protic solvents retards E2. Why polar protic solvent retards E2? Because in previous session we already discussed, if solvent is polar protic solvent, being polar protic solvent, they can solvate both cations and anions. Both cations and anions. Whatever we are using in E2 elimination, that is a strong base. Being a strong base, obviously it is charged. Let us suppose alkoxide ion. So negatively charged one, it is a strong base. This strong base anion preferably solvated with solvent molecule positive phases. Because of solvent molecule solvates this base, obviously what happened? Its ability to approach the proton decreases. Hence, since here water molecule positively charged hydrogen atoms are surrounding around this anion. That means polar protic solvents retards E2 elimination. Why? Because base are nucleophile solvated. Since base are nucleophile solvated, because of solvation of nucleophile or base, what happened? Here polar protic solvent decreases or retards E2 elimination. And when you come to E1 elimination, polar protic solvent accelerates, because of, for E1 elimination, alkyl halide dissociation is a slow step and rate determining step will end. So this step more and more favors, because of polar protic solvents which are having a high dielectric constant preferably favors for ionization. That means in presence of polar protic solvents, alkyl halide readily dissociates into R plus and X minus. Because of it dissociates into R plus and X minus, obviously it acts E1 reaction, E1 elimination accelerates. Same polar protic solvents suppress E2 elimination. Same polar protic solvents increases E1 rate. And ethyl alcohol or any alcohol, even though polar protic solvent, this one preferably used for both E1 and E2. Remember that its dielectric constant is less. And one more, in general we are going to learn aqueous base and alcoholic base. Aqueous base always leads substitution product as a major product, and alcoholic base always gives elimination product as a major product. In both cases base is same, like OH minus alcohol or alcoholic KOH. In general we are saying that leads elimination. Instead of that, aqueous NaOH or aqueous KOH, which leads aqueous base, like which leads substitution. So aqueous base always gives substitution product as a major product, and alcoholic base always gives elimination product as a major product. The difference here in between these two, bases remains the same, only differs in their solvent. Here aqueous medium, because of more polar protic, its mechanism is different, and alcohol, even though it is polar protic but less dielectric constant, it prefers elimination. And one more point here is, whatever the base, either NaOH or KOH, functioning remains the same. And I am going to mention here, when we are using aqueous base, major product is substitution but minor product elimination will be there. And when we are using alcoholic base, major product is elimination but minor product substitution will be there. So ultimately wherever elimination is there, there substitution. And SN1 factors, SN2 factors are different. SN1 factor, SN2 factors are different. E1 and E2 factors are different. So here whether E2 elimination or E1 elimination, only one thing is possible. Wherever E1 is there, there SN1 is possible. Wherever E2 is there, there SN2 is possible.